Hey, it's Kat, and I'm going to walk you through making a rainbow wreath. So I start off with a wire frame from Dollar Tree. I added pipe cleaners onto the frame. So I have 12 on the outside and 12 on the inside. I do not use the innermost ring just because it's not necessary to fill that. I have my mesh. I have cut in two different sizes. The first one is the shorter. This will go in the inner, and it is cut at about 20 inches. 15 to 20 inches, so you can choose what works best for you. And basically I walk and scrunch and roll the edges in and then put it in between two pipe cleaners. Then I'll go to the larger mesh, which is cut at approximately 30 inches. And I again walk my fingers across, scrunching in the middle and rolling those cut edges to the back side of the wreath. And I leave the pipe cleaners up for now because I will be putting ribbon in that. And so basically I repeat this process over and over. So I'm going to go ahead and probably speed up this video. And as I add in the rest of the colors, I started with the purple and then I just kind of work my way around the rainbow. I did use each kind of bar section to kind of mark off each color. So there's 6 different colors on this wreath. So then I went with blue, and I'll go to green and then to yellow, orange, and red. So I'm going to just keep going and not have talked the whole time. But I do apologize. There's a couple times where the camera kind of started to slip or got bumped. And so that's the reason for a little bit of the shaking. Okay, all the meshes around the wreath, and it looks really pretty just like that. Now I'm going to add ribbon. So I chose to do this wreath with basically 2 colors per section. So I'm going to make it tone on tone. So basically the reds on the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. So they'll pair up together. And since there are 4 mesh segments per color, I'm going to put it on each of those. So I'm going to start with the red this time. And I'm going to basically take the ribbon are cut at 12-inch in length, and they're dovetailed at the end. I do use a lighter on the edges to kind of seal those edges because they do tend to fray sometimes with wind and stuff. So I do try and cut down on that. So basically I find an open pipe cleaner. I will insert the ribbon, which I've pinched in the middle in an X fashion. I don't put them one on top of each other because of the fact that it's more work just to separate them. So I'm pushing those pipe cleaners to the back of the wreath once I've laid the ribbon in. And I'm going to flip over here. All right, so I'm going to pull taut, and then I'm just going to twist off those pipe cleaners. We will finish off the pipe cleaners after all the ribbon has been put on. You certainly could work and do it as you go. That's up to you. This is just how I've gotten in the habit of doing things. Again, I'm going to pinch the ribbon in the middle. I'm going to pair it with its partner. It does not matter which one's on top and which one's bottom. I do kind of leave them in an X. And then I find the next open pipe cleaner. And I'm going to insert the ribbon into that spot. And you don't always have to twist the pipe cleaners on top, because if you are crossing over, that's enough to lock down the ribbon onto the mesh. And again, I'm feeding those pipe cleaners to the back. And I will make a note on when we go to the back side. I'm going to show you something that's a little tip. So the ones on the kind of the crossbars, you want to make sure it always covers 2 bars when you're attaching that pipe cleaner, and that will make sure your ribbon stays more flush. So you see I'm kind of over 2 bars. And so now I'm just going to keep repeating this process, adding my ribbon all the way around. It's the same process, and I'm just going to speed up and get this going, and then we'll come back and I'll walk you through the next tips. Okay, so now all the ribbon is on. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish off the back of the wreath. So what I'm going to do is I like to use needle nose pliers and wire cutters. I'm going to kind of twist off. Now you don't have to use either. You don't have to trim the wires. You just basically want to roll those pointed edges into so that they're protected and won't scratch your surface. So you could just do it with the needle nose or even your fingers. I prefer to trim them so don't have as much bulk there. So I trim with the wire cutters and then take the needle nose and turn it down. That's it. It's simple. And basically it's just an important step just so that those pipe cleaners aren't sticking out. And since they do have a rough end to them, you don't want that rubbing on your door or wall and causing any marks. So I'm going to speed up, get this done, and we'll come back and add the signs. Talk about the signs. Okay, so all the pipe cleaners are tucked in. Now it's time to look at signs. So I have 3 options for this style wreath. I have this cute love one that you can kind of figure out how you want it on there, and that's probably how I would do that one. Then I have this nice pride one. I found this at Michael's and I painted it, and then I also have this one, which is also a heart that I painted and added some words to it with my vinyl. But for this wreath, I'm going to actually use this pride. So I kind of want to figure out where I want it on my wreath, and I like that. I do like to pull, I'm going to tuck so I use monofilament or a fishing line to attach. So I do kind of work the fishing line on one side through the wreath. I do like to pull the ribbon out from underneath the sign. I will leave the mesh there because I do like it to sit into the wreath a little bit. So I like to utilize the crossbars when I'm securing with the fishing line. I know this is very hard to see, but if I did it even in slow-mo, the fishing line is clear, so it's very difficult to see what I'm doing. But what I like to do is I like to wrap it around a couple bars so that it's secured and won't slip. If you go around using the bars that are circular, you're not as likely to slide. Now with monofilament or fishing line, you do want to make sure you do several knots, just because of the fact that it does have a tendency to slip. So again, I'm just kind of working my ribbon, pulling some of it out, leaving some of it in, but I do like to pull the majority of it out because I can always push it back in. Now I'm working on the other side, feeding the fishing line to the back of the wreath. And I will secure that side to make sure my sign is on my wreath nice and sturdily. There are other methods of putting on and securing a sign. I just find that the fishing line does work well. I do have a little drill that I put little holes into the sign so that I can feed that fishing line through. But I find that they don't show very well. They don't show up hardly at all because of the fact that it's just a tiny little hole. So again, I'm going to finish tying this off, and then there's just some final steps left. Okay, so I would like to add a wire to hang at the top. I know you can use wreath hangers, but I do like to use more of a 3M hook to secure my wreath to my door. So basically, I'm going to add that on, and then I will flip my wreath over and kind of adjust the ribbons to make sure everything's facing the way I want. And you can also do this once it's up on your door as well. But this is just an extra step that I feel makes it worthwhile. And like I said, I like to use 3M hooks to hang because I can put them up on inside of doors as well as walls and can remove them. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and please join me taking a look at some of the other ones. My technique is pretty much the same. This one is a little different just because the colors, I added a few more on the inside of my wreath. But I hope you enjoyed this and will consider subscribing to my channel and watching me for other tutorials. Thanks, and have a great day.